So we have a lot of different practices here at Lighthouse. One of them is security practice around some of the Tivoli products, specifically identity and access management. Some of the guys that we've hired on that team are, deeply skilled. Again, they have 15, 20 years experience in the industry. Some of them worked many years at IBM. With that team, we've created a cloud offering around identity and access management, and that's been a very significant investment for Lighthouse, and we now have 12 to 15 customers now using that technology.
So IBM and Lighthouse have a solution in the IAM as a service space that affords mid-market organizations to acquire a myriad of different identity and access management technologies in three major areas of service. Identity management, which is concerned with topics like user provisioning or role and entitlement governance. Web access management, which is concerned with unified single sign-on, authentication and authorization around web resources and web assets, and federation, whether you're federating with a private third party or a cloud service. Acquiring these types of best-of-breed technologies in the IBM Tivoli Identity and Access Management stack as a service affords a mid-market organization many of the benefits that we mentioned on the previous slide, including up to 60% lower cost of ownership, expediting delivery with 75% of the schedule eliminated, compliance on demand, and the ability to predictively forecast costs. So let's take a look at some of the value propositions around identity and access management as a service. Very much akin to the value propositions you'd expect to find in a traditional SaaS environment, regardless of what type of application is being acquired. You're going to see a lot of those same themes here with IAM as a service. First and foremost, we look at economics, right? We look at driving down the total cost of ownership. Deploying identity and access management infrastructure specifically for a mid-market organization might be a scary or daunting proposition. However, when we start to look at acquiring on-demand services via the cloud, now we look at a much lower total cost of ownership. We're avoiding the deployment of infrastructure and software. We're avoiding the cost of the professional services and the time for those professional services as well. The second concept here is really time to market. So when we look at expediting identity and access management infrastructure, there may be repercussions throughout the organization for applications that are dependent upon the deployment of that IAM infrastructure. So being able to take a deployment down from 12 months to 3 months or 2 years down to 6 months may have significant advantages for an organization that's looking for a first mover advantage. In a competitive environment that's growing more global every day, having that first mover advantage and being able to deploy this infrastructure quickly it can mean quite a bit. One of the next concepts here is agility. And beyond the first deployment, the ability to keep up with the times and quickly maneuver in your IAM infrastructure becomes important as well. So as new protocols and standards emerge, rather than trying to keep on top of that via having the best engineers on site or having the best professional services relationships, which is sometimes challenging in the mid-market space, you're now subscribed to those best practices, and your agility to be able to subscribe to something on demand or let it go tomorrow affords an organization in the mid-market an advantage that was once only the realm of an enterprise. We also have a nice financial byproduct of software as a service, and specifically in the IAM space where these infrastructures might get complex, they may get costly, we don't know what the upgrades or maintenance may look like down the road. The ability to have a fixed or locked subscription contract that allows an organization to pre-plan or forecast their operating expenses for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years may give you significant advantage over an organization that needs to budget an unknown quantity for things like a product upgrade or an infrastructure upgrade. Another advantage we see here is reducing overhead. We're all concerned with IAM infrastructure, and for good reason. We've talked about a number of realities and trends in the marketplace, such as regulations and software as a service and integrating with a lot of extranet endpoints that make identity and access management core to a mid-market strategy in security. However, acquiring, retaining, and training those types of skills, either organically or acquiring them externally, is easier said than done sometimes. So the ability to utilize IAM as a service eliminates the need for the acquisition, training, and retention of specialized skills that may be hard to come by. Last but not least, we talked about regulations and the importance of those regulations. Internally, an organization is responsible for remaining compliant, understanding the ins and outs of regulations such as PCI or SOX or GLBA or HIPAA. Externally, an organization gets to rely upon an IAM service that has SLAs that control regulatory issues or control compliance, or basically compliance on demand, if you will, with areas of concern for that organization.
We have a data center with cloud solutions for our security product, and a lot of folks are able to implement solutions that would normally take 2 years down to maybe a month and a half. That excites customers. That excites me, because it's not just selling a product and it's, you know, the whole process of training people, getting skilled resources, buying a hardware product. It's all gone away. The fact is that you don't have to hire highly skilled people to implement these solutions, and it's much quicker and it's much cheaper to implement. So that's what excites me.